Hi everyone, it's Linda Esposito from Be Clear with Bronchiectasis. And today we are talking about our toolkits. I already did one video on our nutrition toolkit, and today we are going to do one on our airway clearance toolkit. Now this is a favorite of everyone's. I have a YouTube video on the aerobic in detail, and it has over 5,000 views, which is so much more than any of my other videos. So this little gal, she's quite popular. And we're going to be talking about her as part of our toolkit. And in addition, some people might have heard me talk about this in the past. It's a little add-on device that helps you know if you are working in this right zone. So it's important to be in the right zone, and this little gauge gives you that information. So it's just something you add on to the aerobica, and then you can make sure when you're exhaling through it that you're in the right you remain in the green zone. So the green zone is really mimics the velocity and the movement of the cilia in our lungs. So we don't want to blow too hard, because then we can actually perhaps shut down or cause our airways to constrict in a protective mode. So we want to be just right, not too little, not too much, just right. And this sounds a bit like a fairy tale. You can tell my grandma. But another fairy tale that I like talking about when we're talking about these toolkits and what we're trying to achieve is the Three Little Pigs. Because what happens there? You got the one building the house of sticks, that are the straw and the sticks and the bricks. And which one is the one that survives the house of bricks? So that is what we are trying to do through proper nutrition, through airway clearance, through exercise, through stress reduction, through management of reflux. And that's what this whole series is about. And I guess I'll be putting this hat on with each of these videos, because whether we like it or not, we are the general contractor of our own health. Even if we go to a bronchiectasis center and they're really doing a great job, it's still up to us to check in with ourselves on a regular basis to make sure that we are doing what we can as far as our self-care is concerned. So I like to think of this, and I do this often with consultations. I have one-on-one consultations with clients, which I absolutely love. They go at least 75 minutes, but I can be long-winded, so sometimes 90 minutes. And then I always follow up with a curated list of webinars, specifically for the issues we discussed. So getting back to our bronchiectasis toolkit, what is in it? Well, we have the aerobica, and soon we should be able to be better able to get the manometer. It's only like another $10, but it is not sold separately. It has to be sold with the aerobica. It was approved, I think, by the FDA that way. And there aren't a lot of medical supply companies that carry it, but we're working with one. And as people might know, I am a consultant for this wonderful company, the Handheld Medical Company. I've worked with them for years. I've gone to their factory. I just adore them. What can I say? The one I often speak with is the clinical manager, Judy Schloss, and she's just the nicest person and always there to help out and explain different complicated concepts. So I am a consultant, and I love working with them because I love their products. I'm very fussy about who I'll work with. I have to really believe not only in the product, but in the people behind the company. And I definitely do with the Monahan Company. So these are two of their products, the Aerobica and the Airway Clips Cup. Now the Airway Clips Cup comes with the Umbra compressor. And could you run it on a lesser compressor? Well, maybe, but it is a powerful cup. And it does require somewhat of a more powerful compressor. I've heard some clients say that with the less expensive compressor that they got from their insurance company, that it burnt out, and they were using this cup. So sometimes you can be lucky and it's successful, but other times you could have a problem. And I just feel the need to say that. So it is the Umbra. I kind of give it this Italian name that the company doesn't use. Umbra, not Ombra. But, and it's made by the company because it's made to use along with the Aerobica. Isn't that a fancy device? So this is how it fits together. So you can be nebulizing, which is inhaling saline, or isotonic saline, whether it's the same salt level as our bodily fluids. It's isotonic, so the same salt level as our tears and our blood, or perhaps hypertonic, which is saltier than our bodily fluids. So in the United States, it's 3% or 7%. Overseas, it tends to be 6%. But regardless, it's a wonderful combination because you are splinting open with this Aerobica, which is described as an OPEP device. So it's an oscillating positive expiratory pressure device. And it blows open the airways and it helps to shear the mucus off of the airway walls. But at the same time, you are inhaling the hypertonic. And at National Jewish, they always teach them together because they feel it gets deeper into your lungs this way. But there are other doctors and other clinicians who suggest to first nebulize. And be careful, this little piece gets lost easily. If you tend to put them together and then you listen to a webinar and you're like, oh, let me try them separately. And then like you're looking for this piece, or you try to put this solid piece from the Aerobica on the nebulizer and it won't work. No, it will not work. You need the one with a little flap. And with this particular cup, the flap goes down. And then there were other choices. These are tools in our toolkit, and they have their own little options. So this one you can nebulize on either what's called breath actuated mode, or you can turn this dial and nebulize on continuous mode. So I have gotten into each of these devices in separate videos. And so if you're interested in more about the AeroClips or more about the Aerobica, you can just look at the airway clearance list on my YouTube channel, Be Clear with Bronchiectasis, and you'll see I've done lots of videos on airway clearance because people love them. But today what I'm trying to create is an understanding of a toolkit. So what else is in our toolkit, our airway clearance toolkit? It could be a handheld massager. So some people find it very helpful depending on where their bronchiectasis is, or perhaps if they have an NTM infection. I was with company yesterday and I kept talking, so my issue is hoarseness. I'm sure you can hear it now, but I'm going to do my best. So this is a handheld massager. You don't need this one. It costs something like $200. You can get them for $30, $40. They're gonna do the same job. And what you want to do is, if you know where your bronchiectasis is or where your infection's located, and if you have a MAC infection, it's probably under your right breast in your middle lobe. But you can look at your CT scan, you can ask your doctor, you can ask your respiratory therapist, and hit that area. Also, I like to just hit my back too, because remember, when the doctor's listening to your lungs, where is she listening? She's listening in your back, because there's more lung matter in the back of your body. So this can help, but here are these devices, and in the United States, we focus a lot on devices. And some of us even get these vests these vibration vests, which are called high frequency chest wall oscillation vests. And I have one. And it's a powerful device. Doesn't mean if you're not very productive, all of a sudden you're gonna strap your vest on and all this gook is gonna come up. No, it doesn't. And people are disappointed. They feel that's what's gonna happen. But if you stay with it and over time, you might see different positive changes with your CT scans. So what else is in our bronchiectasis toolkit? Well, there are different breathing practices, which are popular, I would say, in the UK. They're very popular. Active cycle breathing technique, and really out throughout European countries, Australia, I think breathing techniques even come before the devices. You know, we tend to go for our devices here in the US and then, maybe throw in one or two breathing techniques. And one that many of us are using is the Autogenic Drainage app on our phones. So there's a long history to this app. We started using it. Barbara, whose son has bronchiectasis, found it because he didn't really want to be doing too much with the devices. So she, as a mother, was trying to look for other ways of doing airway clearance for her son, and she came across this app and she shared it with me, and then over the years I've shared it, others have. So it's become very popular, but then it stopped working. So I reached out to Kevin, the developer, and he's so nice and so kind. The software was about 8 years old and the whole thing had to be rewritten, but he did it for us. He did it for our community. I mean, certainly the cystic fibrosis community is using it, and not just the bronchiectasis community, but we were the ones like, Kevin, please, please, please. It's very helpful. So these breathing techniques become other tools in our bronchiectasis airway clearance toolkit. Let's not forget exercise, because in many countries, that is what they're doing for airway clearance. They are exercising. And I know my doctor, Dr. Dorina Drizzo-Harris, she's one of the top bronchiectasis and NTM doctors, I'll say in the world, not just the US. But she loves exercise. She herself is a runner, and she makes a point of saying, you don't have to be a runner. Believe me, I'm like a little bit of a jogger. I'm a walker, and I run in place, and I also weight train. And when I weight train, I breathe heavy. I'm a heavy breather. But exercise helps to naturally open up your airways. It's a natural bronchodilator. And I know at one patient conference, NYU Langone sponsors a patient conference every year. But when she was asked by the audience, or a group of 3 doctors who were participating were asked by the audience, when do you do your airway or exercise should you clear your airways first, or should you clear your airways then do exercise, or exercise then to clear your airways? And the other doctors kind of favored the idea of first clearing your airways and then exercising. And she said, well, you know what? I would say to first exercise, because that's a natural bronchodilator. And some people might even find that they no longer need to take albuterol or use something like that. Now, please, I am not a clinician. Do not change your medical practices, but speak to your clinician about it. Try see if exercise before airway clearance might be better for you. So here are the tools. There's lots to know about each and every one, including how to maintain them, how to sterilize them. But that's not the purpose of this talk today. It's just to say there are a lot of tools in our toolkit, and what might work for one person might not work for another. What might work for you today might not work for you tomorrow, or what might not work today might work for you tomorrow. So it is somewhat of a creative process, and it's very individualized. So you have to experiment. You know, if you're productive and you feel like you're doing a good job, then my favorite expression is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But if you can feel stuff in there and you're just not able to get it out, then you're going to put these tools together in perhaps various ways. Like we talked about, maybe nebulizing separate from the aerobica. Or something I suggest doing sometimes is, after you've had them attached, you can take, and the nebulizing is done, you can take that off, and then you can just use the aerobica. You know, you can lie, as Dr. McShane said in her talk last year, you can lie in your bed and you can lie side to side and try what's called positioning or postural drainage. Now, we don't want to do this after eating, because we don't want to do anything that's going to increase reflux. But if you've been tested, as I have, and know you don't have a serious condition, we all reflux, then it might be something, another tool for your toolkit if your doctor approves. Because ultimately, if you hear stuff in there and you're kind of coughing up throughout the day, then the goal will be to get it out, and hopefully to get it out on your schedule. So it's not that you do your devices, you nebulize, nothing happens, then 2 hours later you go out to lunch with your girlfriends and all of a sudden you have to excuse yourself and go to the bathroom to cough up some phlegm. We're trying to avoid that. We're trying to do our best to avoid that. And on a personal note, I can say that I really wasn't productive in the first year and a half or so. I tried the devices, nothing really happened until often in the afternoon. I would lie in my bed, propped up with pillows to rest, to read a little bit, maybe to doze off for 15, 20 minutes. And in that position, lying back, I would hear stuff coming up. It was clearing my throat, which is also not a good habit. And I was then able to bring something up. So it really drove home that for me, postural drainage was an important tool to have in my toolkit. But there are positive and negatives, and this isn't as much a science as an art form. So do your best, speak to your doctor, see if you can perhaps meet with a respiratory therapist in your community. I know it's easier said than done, but as this network of bronchiectasis care centers starts to form, we're hoping that there'll be more and more easy access to well-trained respiratory therapists who truly understand bronchiectasis and NTM disease. So I hope this discussion of Airway Clearance Toolkit was helpful. If you have any other tools that you use regularly, please drop them in the comments below. Please subscribe. Please watch my videos. I mentioned before, I don't receive any money for this. I pay someone to actually put them up for me. And it's really, I need viewing hours. So please view. If you have a dog, have your dog view, walk away. Just kidding. But it's really the viewing hours that will get me to the point, hopefully in a year and a half or so, where I can be monetized for my body of work. So take care. Again, Linda signing off. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.